All right, let's talk some McCorkle Jones. His numbers were horrible in the Saints game. His tape wasn't. And we got to sort of get out of this, looking at the box score, and then that's how we make our decisions, and we don't even look any further into it. Typically, I don't even look at the box score until after I evaluate the game. I try to, just because it completely screws with your head if you look at his box score and say 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, passer rating of 55.2. What a bad game. Only 270 yards on 51 attempts. Wow, he must suck. Well, if you watch the game, basically all 3 of those interceptions, I think I can totally defend for the most part. And I thought that there was some really good there. He certainly looked like the best rookie quarterback thus far, although clearly a very low bar to clear thus far as well. So let's get into the film study. So let's start off with this play. So what's going to happen is that it's going to be man coverage, and you're going to hit the halfback wheel route. This is something I've noticed a little bit from Jones, which is weird because this wasn't really an issue of him in college, but he's missed some throws. It's just happened. He actually missed back-to-back deeper shots right away to start this game. So this is the second one where you have this halfback route, which is something that they've had success with so far this season. So looking here, on paper, it makes sense. I don't hate looking here. Watch how right when this play starts. So you're going to notice that Jones, he was under pressure and he kind of throws one up, and he's not great under pressure. That's just a thing about Jones. His footwork gets very sloppy under pressure. When he has to change his throwing motion, he's not the best. It's as someone who likes Mac Jones, that is a very real thing, because down the field, this is open. This is where, for McCorkle, this is what you're hoping for, right? But this is just, it's the pressure is what got to him. And as you see, that throw is just way over the head of the halfback there. It's unfortunate, right? You would like to see that to be a completion, especially when he missed one earlier. You get it. It's the whole pressure thing. But still, sometimes in the NFL, you have to be able to make an accurate throw under pressure. Jones has struggled with that a little bit. It's something we saw. This is something we saw in college, the under pressure missed accuracy. So maybe that's a little bit of cause for concern, perhaps, because it's not just a small sample size. But I'll be willing to wait it out a little bit. Currently, when he's under pressure, his passer rating is only 69.9, which sounds awful, but actually is on the higher side under pressure. So maybe it's just the ones I notice tend to, stick out in my brain more, perhaps, because the actual numbers don't really back up that he's been horrible under pressure, even though there is some tape that way. So, I'll let you make the decision. Do you trust the numbers here? Okay, so for some good, something like this is just so great that Jones can do at such a young age. It's incredible to me. And again, when people kind of talked about Jones, I think people sort of said, the general consensus was he kind of has this, low ceiling but high floor. I disagree with that low ceiling. I think he can still be a good player, a really good player. I think he does have a ceiling, but I would also say that, that first part totally checks out. He definitely can make these decisions very quickly, and he clearly has shown to be the most NFL-ready quarterback out of the bunch so far. We obviously haven't seen Trey Lance yet, but anyways, the way this play works is it's man coverage, and you see the tight end running a route, and you see how far off the safety who's covering him is playing. So Jones also notices this, right? These are just the little things you can pick up on. So look, when Jones takes the snap, he knows where to throw the football. That's just smart football right there, and he picks up the first down on a third down. Not really because he had a great arm, but just because he made the correct read. Making the correct read is a huge chunk of being a good NFL quarterback. I'll take the guy who makes the correct read and doesn't have quite as big of an arm than the guy who makes the wrong read and has a cannon of an arm. I want to break down one of the interceptions. This is the only one I think you could really put blame on Jones if you wanted to, but I still wouldn't. But, the other one was a tipped pass for an interception. That's tough to blame him for. And the third one was literally, there was less than 20 seconds left. He's trying to make something happen in a 2-score game. To me, that's a positive that at least he's taking a chance. So those decisions at least weren't bad. This one, I still wouldn't consider that bad. So it's going to be man coverage right here. And what's going to happen is that you have it's a tight end actually running a route over the middle. And so basically, this is something that, it's a good route to look for in this situation. Also worth mentioning, though, this is going to kind of be a blitz. Not exactly. It is going to be a 5-man rush, though, because since the halfback is blocking, another New Orleans player will run in and rush the passer. And what you're going to see, watch Jones and watch how he kind of steps into this pressure right here. The interior offensive line wasn't doing a great job. He could have stayed where he was at, didn't navigate it perfectly. It happens. It's kind of one of those weird fluky things. I'm not really going to crush him for it. The pressure was why that ended up being a New Orleans Saints interception, is because of, he got hit clearly. If he doesn't get hit, he's not missing that throw that badly. It still was it wasn't wide open, but it's a fine decision. Kind of just, got hit as he was thrown, which, not the best, but it's more of the pocket presence is the issue if you want to put blame on him. I can live with this. Again, there's different standards we have for these quarterbacks, and I think that's something people miss. I don't expect Mac Jones to go out there and be Tom Brady week 1. That's an insane expectation. I hope, if I'm a Patriots fan, what I'm hoping for with Mac Jones is just that he shows some flashes and can play competent football, and that's what he's done so far. Something like this is just a great example, again, of these smart decisions that he makes, and I suspect that he will continue getting smarter and make even better decisions, and not just decisions, but he can kind of think three-dimensionally in the game of football. A lot of young quarterbacks, they come in and they make the decision that makes sense on paper, which is, that's what you hope for, but there's other things you can do to make these decisions even better. So on this play, it's going to be zone coverage, and you have a receiver running over the middle, could get into a gap in coverage, right? But how can Mac Jones make that gap in coverage bigger? The number one thing is just don't stare the receiver down. You stare the receiver down, well, then New Orleans could potentially just make that read and get over. Because watch how right when this play starts, Jones does eventually get over there, but he waits a beat before then looking over. Kind of looks at nothing before looking over where he wants to make the throw. And at this point, you see that both New Orleans players who could have potentially gotten into this play kind of just drop back to their natural spot, especially the one right near the receiver that Jones is throwing towards, sees that there's a back in the flat, so he's kind of making sure he could potentially cover him. All of this stuff means that you just have a more open receiver. It's these little subtle things that Jones has done so well that you just don't see even from guys who have been in the league for 7 years. It's also a very accurate throw, and there's a big gain on that one. He even makes a safety miss, and you get all the way to the opponent's 43, whereas had that not happened and had Jones not, used his eyes to get him more open, maybe he still makes the catch, but it's probably not going past your own 35 right there, and you're just methodically moving down the field. So little things like that seem like they're not that big of a deal, but they can end up just being huge, quite frankly. Listen, the numbers weren't great, but that's fine. Then I honestly think in the situation that they're in general, Mac Jones probably isn't going to have spectacular numbers. He's still in the best situation out of the 4 starting rookie quarterbacks. I guess 5 if you include Davis Mills. But he's still probably in the best situation out of any of those. But that's kind of saying more about the other 4 than it is about McCorkle. But at the same time, the numbers probably aren't going to be super flashy, but he's going to be one of those guys you really have to pay attention to the tape, at least for this season, I would suspect. Same thing with all the rookie quarterbacks. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Mac Jones? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.